Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new edition of GameTales. Yes, after how many months, Stephen, of not having a show, are we doing one?
We stopped at the end of March.
Oh, that was a long time ago. We were so
Half
young
a year.
back then.
It's half a year. It's half a year.
Half a year. So what better way to celebrate this half a year absence than by talking about one of our favorite video games,
Yes,
Diablo 2.
we're just gonna go with the hits.
Yeah.
I don't have shit. So
Yeah, I know. I keep them around because I can hug them, but you
Yeah.
said you had other stuff to hug, so
Yeah.
okay, I get it. Still, this is very huggable.
yep.
So Diablo 2, it's not the anniversary. It's not the anniversary of the game.
No.
It's not anything related to it. We just thought we'd make a video about Diablo 2 because we didn't have any other subject to talk about in this long postponed edition of the show.
Probably there would have been several things that we would have talked about, but in the intervening 6 months. But since we haven't done this in a while, we're just gonna play the hits. It's like when a band just stops being, and then they come back after 10 years and they start touring. So what they're gonna play? Are they gonna play the new shit? Fuck no, they're gonna play the hits. That's why people wanna see them.
Yeah.
So we're gonna play the hits, not our hits, but give me history hits. So Diablo 2.
But before that, in the intermeeting time, what have you been doing, Stephen?
Well, I've been obviously constantly updating, posting stuff on my channel. I was lucky enough to get over the summer. I got to make a couple of videos that I've been working on for a while. I got like top 5 original video game worlds and the top 5 RPGs that need remakes. So you can, if you're interested in any, and the original game worlds are mostly RPGs also, for obvious reasons. So if you want to check those out, just go right ahead. But I've been covering a lot of just the highlights. I covered Anno 1404, which really like, since I didn't get Anno 1800, nor do I have money for it, I said, let's play this one. And it's really good. I mean, it's really, really good. And more recently, I covered the Dark Devotion, which is a game I covered back when it was in Kickstarter, and now it's out and it's great. Gibbous, a Cthulhu adventure, same thing. Covered it in its Kickstarter, now it's out and it's great. And very, very recently, I played Iratus, Lord of the Undead, which, I can understand when people see it that they say it's like a Darkest Dungeon clone or ripoff or something like that. It might as well just be that. But since I never actually played Darkest Dungeon, for me, it's like super cool. So that's one of the ongoing games I've started playing now, like At the Gates. So now I have At the Gates that I play whenever there is a major patch. Back in, still hoping it can be what it should be. I'm gonna play Iratus when it gets some major updates because it's still in early access. And very recently, I played the Children of Morta, which kind of segues into the Diablo, because in my review I actually talk a lot about the Diablo 2 feeling that I got from playing Children of Morta. The games don't have a really lot in common. Children of Morta is a roguelite pixel art. It's very quick and that sort of stuff. But the atmosphere of when you go into the dungeon and the animations of the spells and the attacks and it just felt, and also you get shrines. So they're called obelisks here, but it's shrines. It gave me a very, very much a Diablo 2 feel. Although I say in the video, you could argue the combat is kind of like Diablo 3-ish, sort of, but to me it was much closer to Diablo 2 for whatever reason. I just got that feel. So that's what I've been doing, mainly. And I still, I got my channel remonetized.
Congratulations! Welcome to the never-ending dread of having it demonetized.
Yeah, exactly. And now I'm hoping I'm hoping to get, to hopefully get maybe more subscribers, or at least like the subscribers I do have, just click the bell notification, because that's the most important when it comes to actually people seeing my stuff. But yeah, it could have been better, but it's for the channel, it's been pretty good. I am that close to 1,700 subscribers, so that's a big number for me, obviously.
So if you're still watching this channel for some reason, go subscribe to Stefan. He actually posts content.
Well, if you're interested in what I do, but yeah, most likely, if you're watching the Diablo 2 podcast, probably you are. So yeah, lots of RPGs there, and lately lots of strategy and city builders soon. Soon a bit some other stuff into city builders. Anyway, so that's what I've been doing. What have you been doing?
Well, I've been working 2 jobs about 12 hours a day for the past, since January. It's been keeping me busy. I haven't been able to do a lot. I've been playing some matches of Overwatch and Rainbow Six Siege from time to time.
I sometimes don't see you on Steam, yeah.
And well, actually, I'm generally invisible on Steam. Just
exactly. That's why I sometimes don't see you.
But recently, I did manage to do something that I've been meaning to do for quite a while, which is buy a book.
Oh, this shit. Book, we are old school, aren't we?
This giant-ass book. This is a book of Dungeon Crawl Classic. I'm probably going to flip the video so you can actually read this. This is an RPG book for a rule system of, pen and paper RPGs. What sets Dungeon Crawl Classics apart from more modern RPGs is that this one is made to be similar to the feeling that this genre had in the 70s, meaning that you would constantly die in terrible, horrible ways. But it's made to be fun in that way. You roll up about 4 characters at the beginning of a campaign. Most of them die. The one that survives gets to level 1. You get to name them. You only get to name them then.
It's like it's like in the olden times when people would wait like for 2 years to name the children just in case they died of rickets or whatever the fuck.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
It's quite a lot of fun. It's based on the really random and eldritch horror stuff, especially when it comes to spellcasting. If you're a wizard, you have to commune with the planes to access your spells, and if you, let's say, fumble a roll on a spell, you may accidentally set yourself on fire. It happens.
I think that happens. I think that should even in the first version of D&D. I think there were consequences to you fucking around with both magic and potions and shit. But again, that's the. We would next episode probably we're gonna make a part 3 of our D&D series. We're not talking about the tabletops yet.
This thing even has half the book is basically spells. So what happens when you fumble or when you roll really, really well? My cleric just got a spell called Sanctuary. It means that if I cast it on myself, then if there's an enemy nearby, the enemy will not be able to hit me if there is another target that's more available. At the maximum level possible, I can sanctify basically a city and nobody can fight in it for months.
It's useful.
Yeah. So
useful. That's the god level.
Well, you have to roll over 30, I think, and with some finagling, if you have a halfling in your party that can just sacrifice their luck for you and you do get a really good roll, you can do that. Or if you fumble it and the clerics do not get the setting themselves on fire by mistake fumbles, they get the wrath of their god fumbles. And those are a lot worse. You can incur punishment because you're not worshipping gods like, I don't know...
Pelor?
Yeah, no, not Pelor. You don't worship gods like Helm or the good gods, the healing, the watchful. You're worshiping Tulu. You're worshiping dark eldritch gods from beyond that exist mainly to devour.
Okay, so kind of like the Old Testament god.
Yeah, basically that.
Like a raging alcoholic sort of
exactly.
approach.
It's quite a lot of fun.
Okay.
I've probably killed. We have a list in our campaign of characters we've killed. I've killed the most of them. A lot of them were mine. Some of them were not mine. I was controlling them when they died because sometimes people don't have time to play, but we do continue the campaign without them.
Understandable.
And I've killed, I think I'm up to 7 characters, I think. I've lost my last original character because he drowned in a puddle of brown water that gave him 1 damage and he had 1 HP left.
That's a problem.
When you do get damage, when you do fall below 0 hit points, you do get a roll of luck to save yourself. And if you don't succeed, you can then burn an amount of luck to increase your roll so you will survive. My character had like 2 luck left, so there was nothing to burn, so dead.
Yeah, you don't get the quality of life updates.
Yeah. It's kind of sad because one of the first characters to die that actually got to level 1 was one of mine, and he was the party's cleric. He didn't get to heal anybody. He just fell off a boat because he missed a reflex roll and got eaten by a snake. And nobody tried to help him.
Boats are genuinely problematic in D&D.
Yeah.
I don't know if we talked about this, but I think I mentioned that if the DM or the GM wants to put you on a boat, drop your armor like instantly. Don't wear armor because you're going in the drink, motherfuckers.
In this case, he wasn't wearing armor, but there were snakes around in water that we didn't know about.
Snake armor.
Yeah, that would have been cool. He didn't have it though.
If you were a druid, maybe something would have been done.
No. He started out as Mickey the Sorcerer's apprentice because he was an apprentice, but then he turned to the dark arts of the magic of the gods, the dark gods.
As you do.
But anyway, that's
talking about dark gods.
Yeah. The channel, the Gaming Issue channel, is sort of still limping along. Content maybe more around this time because I'm technically on vacation. So I have a week or so of actually being able to do stuff. So it's going to be cool.
Yeah, we still don't know when this one's going to go out, but whenever. That's why we're not doing any sort of news or recent events because by the time this comes out, it could be...
Did you hear about that nuke dropping? Man, that was unpredictable.
It could be the middle of October or some such shit. So
or if it's after the apocalypse, hope you saved up those bottle caps.
Yeah, and internet. So
getting back to Diablo.
Yes.
Diablo 2. This was the first game that I bought with my first paycheck. I had played it like for years prior to it because that's what you do in Romania. But this was the first one I bought. And my God, it was still expensive back then. It was 120 something RON, a million old RON. And it was still expensive as hell.
As hell.
6 years after the expansion was released. But still, it is worth it. Well, it would be more worth it if Battle.net wasn't such a complete slog when it comes to ping. It's mostly over 100, so playing a hardcore character is a big no-no.
The advantage of actually buying it was that you could actually play on Battle.net on the ladder and whatnot. But we'll probably get to that at a certain point during this.
I was kind of expecting a bit more of a manual situation, but this was the bestseller, top seller, cheap version that was on sale. So no very, very nice manual to come with it, sadly. But the expansion did have this booklet with skills and stuff, which is kind of like a manual.
Shouldn't it have with runes? Since it introduced runes and shit.
Yeah, they did add runes. I'm not sure if actually this is Romanian and it even has artwork on it, which is sweet.
What is that?
That's one of the harpies that you fight in the
okay,
the
makes sense. I was gonna say that it looks like a pixie or some shit.
Don't think there were runes mentioned in the that's an assassin here in the corner.
Okay.
On the background, probably also gonna put some videos that I found on the German press kit of Diablo 2. I couldn't find something in English from the olden days. I just found the German one. It actually shows how they sort of not film, but plan the cinematics for Diablo 2. It was really neat.
Storyboards or what?
Yeah, they filmed themselves acting out the cinematic. When the dwarves come in with the tray and all that stuff, and the guy smoking, and
Well, yeah, they needed for the artist. They needed like
references.
a real world reference. So I actually got to play Diablo 2 like really close to after it was released. Again, pirated, of course. This is what you did in
Yarhar.
in 2000s Romania. And it was in 2000. I'm pretty sure it was in 2000 or maybe 99 or 2000, probably 2000. And I was playing it. A friend of mine, a schoolmate friend of mine, got it, and we were going to play it at his house because he had a computer capable of doing it. I didn't have a Diablo 2 worthy computer at that time, and he had just gotten himself like there used to be a time when it was kind of trendy to get one of those 2.1 sound thingies. Like you had two minor speakers and you had like a subwoofer sort of thing, and he had it placed on his table. It was right in front of him. So we installed the game, super excited and whatnot. We go into the says loading, says done it. Then we have the character choice, and I click on the barbarian, and holy fuck, did we shit our pants because the thing was really loud, and he just went, "Whoa!" in our faces.
This is a confirmation that the barbarian's fear war cry actually works in real life. So you know that he was OP from start.
So that was, you can say that was the introduction to Diablo 2. Yeah, but before that, like I said, we had already played 1 and whatnot. So I played it at friends' places for several years after that, up until I could finally get a computer that would run it. What was your first? How did you?
I'm curious, was that your first introduction to the game or just the first time you played it?
No, it was the first. I don't know. I was aware it existed, so we knew it came out. I can't really remember if there were videos or if we saw it somewhere else. But I do remember that's the first time I played it. Can't really say.
Well, my first introduction to Diablo 2 was in this magazine. Yeah, I know it has Red Alert on the cover, which is... you see that thing in the back? That's a poster that used to be in this magazine.
Yeah, I know.
That's not the original poster. I printed that recently because I finally got some color ink on this. And I wanted to recreate that. Funny thing, you can actually find the full resolution of that image anywhere. I had to cobble that from two different pictures. So the top part looks kind of crappy because it's a very low-res JPEG.
I had that. I had that magazine also.
But in this magazine, apart from there being a lot about Red Alert 2, because Red Alert 2 was awesome, it also had a large section of Diablo 2, which I'm trying to find right now. Oh yeah, there it is. It had this thing, which is basically a review of Diablo 2 with the worms and stuff and the things.
I remember reading that, but I don't remember if I saw that before or after. Can't. I don't know.
And it also had the thing that really interested you, which was the set items, which you told me that you actually collected.
So that thing, although do I remember, was it like this? I think it was like this.
It even has like punch holes for where you can rip them off and like punch holes and then collect them.
I had the exact same magazine, and what I did in order for me to not lose those was I actually tore those pages out of it and created a folder with like a one page on one side and the other page, so it was like a double-sided folder with the set items, which I still have. Unfortunately, it's back in Romania, and not knowing we're going to do this, I don't have any sort of footage of it. But at a certain point when I go back, I'll maybe take it back with me, or at the very least, I will get some video or some images, and I will post a comment I'll post a comment here with a link. So if you're interested in seeing the the type of fervor slash obsession I had with Diablo 2. You can see it there. But yeah, I had definitely read that magazine. So if you're saying that was before, then I definitely had that before actually playing the game.
This magazine sort of tied into the how I actually came to play Diablo 2. It was around the year 2002. I finally got a CD-ROM for my PC, which was amazing. And I was playing the demo of Diablo 1. It was the only one we could find. The demo we talked about in the previous show.
Yep.
And just a day after I found the demo and played it a bit, we went with my friends from high school, went to a internet cafe just right across the street from our high school. And there...
Man, those were... So the internet cafe subculture in Romania that was big, man. It was insane. I think I second and third hand smoked so many cartons of cigarettes just by hanging out in internet cafes. It's insane. Sorry, just tangent.
We should do an episode about that one day.
I think we may, but that one's gonna have appeal mostly to, I think, our Romanian listeners. But I imagine other countries in the Baltics were kind of similar because culturally wise, same shit. Anyway,
so there I was, walking into the internet cafe, and I had this book with me. Now, the reason I had this with me is that the expansion had come out, the people were playing it, and there were rumors that you could access a secret level.
Yes.
And people didn't know how. And then I brought this book, and it showed you how. And people went there, and people killed cows there because I told them how to. Yeah, evil cows, hell bovines. But it was an amazing experience, and also got to play it for a bit with the character that somebody else already started. Now, because they were playing the expansion already at full, like max level almost, I think they were cheating also a bit, and they were doing ball runs. Now, I didn't know what ball runs were back then. They just put me down into the seat and let me play with their character. I think it was a barbarian or a paladin, and I wasn't really, accustomed to playing Diablo 2, so two things happened. First, one, I had no idea where the mouse was on the screen, because the mouse pointer in Diablo 2 is a lot better integrated into the world. It has more of a darker shading that is kind of hard to see on the screen if there's explosion all about, and you don't really, you're not accustomed to how it looks.
If you don't know where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, so half the time I had no idea where I was pressing like on the screen, and then I was trying to kill Baal, but thing is I wasn't supposed to try that yet, so people were fighting the minions like behind me, and I was just trying to click on the guy on the chair because it seemed to me like he was sitting on a chair. I didn't know those were legs.
Yeah.
It was a 14-inch monitor back then, so I couldn't see much, but eventually I did get to participate in the slaying of Baal, and then I didn't play it for 6 months until I got my own copy of it. And then, those were the days. I think we got, my classmates and I got Diablo 2 on a, we got it, one of my friends got it on a Thursday, and we skipped religion class to do independent study of,
occult.
Not the occult, let's say biblical studies, advanced edition with, whatchamacallit, the cosmology of the heavens and hells.
An interactive study session.
Yeah, we did that. We installed on his PC. It worked like a charm on a Pentium 2. Then on the Friday, I installed on my PC, and we sort of tried to see how far we could get on the weekend and play it as much as we could. We didn't have internet connections to play it in a network or anything like that, just individually and see where we got. By Monday, I had rescued Cain, so I didn't get too far into it.
Okay.
But I did have a lot of fun.
A very slow player, I see.
Yeah, I was trying all the different classes, see what they could do, what abilities they had, how they functioned. I was caught a bit off guard by the fact that potions don't restore life instantly.
Ooh, so that was a big difference.
And the thing that really sort of bothered me a lot, and I think it bothered everybody for years, you could not buy mana potions. Until, I think, update 1.07 or 1.09, you could not buy mana at all.
I can't remember that.
It got so bad when I was fighting Diablo for the first time with my Necromancer, and it just kept killing me over and over again. I was selling all my gems just so I could buy mana potions to kill him.
Okay.
It was frustrating. I'm kind of glad that they changed it, but also back then I had no idea that you could totally cheese the game when it came to full rejuvenation potions. Just sell one and buy back all of them, like an inventory full of full rejuvenation potions. You could do that. You could also craft them with the Horadric Cube.
Horadric Cube, yeah. We touched. You touched on several separate subjects that
we're going to get to
that are related to Diablo 2. But what I wanted to connect quickly with Children of Morta is that the right thing, like you said, you spend a lot of time trying all the classes and see what they can do. Well, in Children of Morta, they actually implemented that as a mechanic. So you can play as just one class, but the game is easier if you play with all the classes, because progression saves up. Progression is you have individual progression, but you also have collective progression. So when one class increases in level, they always get a family-wide collective buff that transports to the rest of the characters. So you get to play. You get to play. You get to play as a tank, as a ranger, as a quick rogue type thing, as a monk, as a dude with a slow hammer, and as a spellcaster. And all of those things, and playing with all of them, playing with any of them and all of them it helps you progress further. So there's none of that feeling of I gotta start from the beginning. I have to cleanse the den of evil and whatever the fuck. That was a bit of the main thing. The first thing I want to actually put a bit of a spotlight in regards to Diablo 2 especially is, looking back, it's linear as fuck.
Oh yeah, totally.
But that wasn't something that, and keep in mind, so we played this at the same time or after Fallout, so it's not like we didn't have something that's totally non-linear and open world-ish to compare it with. But the linearity didn't annoy us at all, just because, well, it was Diablo and we loved Diablo 1,
and for the most part you were in open environments that let you like move around where you wanted to.
Yeah, and there were a bunch of optional areas that weren't quest related, that you could go in and slay stuff. But nowadays, I think I don't know if we would accept the linearity as easily.
Well, not really sure if I would. It depends on how it's presented, because Diablo 3 has a similar situation with its levels, but its levels are a lot more direct. Like at some points you crawl through a path this wide and that's all you do. You don't really have the freedom to just run around in a circle while you're killing everything that's on the map. It's how it's presented. That's the most important thing. Also, apart from the fact that it was linear, it also sort of didn't care about it to a certain extent. You could jump from place to place and miss quests if you wanted to, and just go for the end boss if it wasn't something that needed a trigger before it. For example,
that's true. You could go to Bloodraven actually, straight up, but again, you would get killed because the mobs would be way stronger. We're talking if you're not like hacking it or anything like that.
Yes, or if you're playing it on Battle.net.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you could definitely do that. That's true. But when I was thinking about things to talk about the game, I was like, it was really Go here, fetch quests, MacGuffin hunts.
It was sort of what we were expecting, because Diablo 1 was the exact same thing, and it was even more linear because you were just like in a linear path downwards.
I know, but this was I'm just talking about our expectations as gamers at that time, and also of the gaming community in general. That's why I'm saying I don't know if that type of linearity would be as appreciated nowadays from a game of that. It's from a game of that level, of that budget, of that.
Diablo 3, I'd say, is even more linear to an extent, and it seems to be doing well.
I guess so. I guess it is. There are times when you don't play things like Diablo is definitely something you don't play for the story or the character development. There's no character development.
Yeah, I kind of got super cheated with the story of Diablo and the cinematics because everybody was talking about them for a year before I even got the chance to see them. So everything was spoiled.
Yeah,
I had the disadvantage of getting late to the party like I did with a lot of things like Ender's Game, the book. I read it like years after everybody spoiled it for me.
Yeah, those cinematics. Now, if I remember, the cinematics were pretty good. I mean, it's Blizzard, and they were kind of cutting edge for that time. If you look at them now, ooh, rough.
Yeah, we used to have a saying. It was especially used on the old level forums of people wanting a game that had graphics like a Diablo 2 cinematic.
Yeah, which is like, that's,
my God, the characters look like ass.
That's cute.
You'd want that?
That's cute, yo. But for that time, it was really cutting edge.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, who's this Marius guy?
And the game's graphics as well. Like, it was 2D, or we had the perspective thing you could activate, but it was beautiful. Like the lighting, the stuff they did with the light, it was amazing. Like when you cast a spell and that particle effect just shot across the map and lit everything in its color, it was amazing.
That was really cool. That created. They put a lot of time in that because they knew it was important. Granted, they did the jump from D1 to D2 graphics wise, as graphics and scope in general and size is quite stupendous. Like Diablo 2 is what a sequel should be, or at least what sequels used to be back when, you know, the passage of time also brought a major leap in technology. Nowadays,
there is one exception to that. It's in indie games where the developers get better at stuff and get the chance to invest more time and more resources into making the game.
If the first game is okay, if the first game gets allows them either to get like a publisher or generates enough revenue for them, then obviously that's.
I'm just saying this because I've seen Ebony Spire 2 and it looks amazing.
Okay, yeah. But again, they get more experience. They also get more experience. They get better at doing it, and hopefully they also get some money. Like that's what I plan to do if I ever get to do it as well.
One thing you shouldn't do is develop the game like they developed Diablo 2 because they were in crunch mode for 3 years nonstop.
No, I don't. We've talked about this. No. We are we're not old men, but we're older, and I have a deep appreciation. I'm aware that my most important currency is my time, and I like to spend my time trying to be as healthy, both emotionally and physically as possible. So I need 8 hours of sleep and to do a bunch of stuff. So the crunch isn't a thing. Also, if I'm gonna make something, I'm gonna do it in my spare time anyway. But yeah, that was how things were done, and unfortunately, how things are still sort of being done under the we're not forcing them, we're not putting a gun to their heads. Yeah,
it's voluntary.
Yeah, exactly, which is the extreme amounts of bullshit.
Yeah.
But back then, different. It was.
It was a work of passion, you could say, a lot of passion.
Well, that's the thing. That's the problem, because that's what some in the industry use as arguments. Like, this is art, and when you work for your art and passion, you're not supposed even to get paid because it's art.
Oh God, that argument was. You would find that constantly everywhere. Like, if you like what you do, you shouldn't be paid. It drives you up the walls.
So yeah, there's that. Thankfully, they apparently not only did they phase that out, but they also phased out being Blizzard in the meanwhile. So
Yeah.
they phased out everyone who worked at who did that in the meanwhile. But
Yeah.
we're not gonna talk about that. Although
Oh,
I would be interested to see the Demon Souls version of Diablo 4 or Diablo 3 that they were working on initially, because there was a project and I think they had something semi-playable, super rough alpha type. I think it would work. Like you'd have to go back to like a Diablo 1 type of setting and mood, but I think that could work. It wouldn't be as fun, but you could. Anyway, it would be compared
what?
to Demon Souls and Dark Souls now, so I don't think that they would do that. But
One other thing that set the development of Diablo 2 apart was that they had no idea how to make it. Like, they had no idea what to put in it, so they put anything they could in it. And
yeah,
some things didn't really.
there was no design doc, and they
Yeah.
just made shit up, which is like, which I'm like, no, that's not how you start projects. That's no. But again, this is Blizzard before StarCraft 2, before World of. Did they have World of Warcraft?
Oh, God, no. They
No.
didn't have Warcraft 3 yet.
This was before all of those. So I think after Warcraft 3 and during World of Warcraft, that's when the Blizzard approach to the actual Blizzard, not Active Blizzard, approach to game design came to be, which is something that I actually use when working on my school projects, when I'm working on any projects. So it's basically what I saw this in a GDC talk from the guys who developed Hearthstone, and it really, and I imagine that's what they do. So they basically create some principles around which they build the games. They call them their pillars of design, and these usually have to be a couple of things, but these are set in stone. You do not change these. If you come up with an idea and it cannot sit on the pillars, then it just doesn't get in. But yeah, Diablo 2 was long before that design approach came to be. Am I too dark? Should I?
Yeah, I think you should turn on the light a bit.
No, it's not. It's just I just need to turn on my monitor.
Oh,
because it went into sleepy time.
One of the advantages of it not being made before the pillars of design thing is that nobody came up with the idea of, oh, let's make one of the pillars of design that players want to trade items with each other for real world money. Because that according to Blizzard, was one of the core elements of Diablo 2. Selling other people your stuff. Technically, it's true, because everybody was gold farming in certain parts of the world and selling items and gold to other people, but that wasn't really what the game was about in terms of actually playing it.
No, and they did try that with the third one, and it failed momentously.
Yep. You can kind of see in Diablo 2 that certain things weren't really thought through. For example,
like gameplay or story-wise?
Well,
I think both, but
yeah, kind of both. But in terms of gameplay elements, like the stamina potion, you don't really need it after Act 1. You already have enough stamina when you pump enough points into health, into stamina, and
I think it was called Vitality.
Yeah, Vitality, and get enough or get I think level 10. You don't need it anymore. You can just run around everywhere. And one thing that really kind of pissed me off in Diablo 2 were the shrines. A lot of them were just pointless, like super, mega, ultra, mega, super, amazingly pointless.
A lot of them were shit, but you were just waiting for for those couple of ones. Or
The
maybe
attack,
three.
the skill.
No. Yeah, not my I was with I liked experience because I like experience.
The gem shrine,
which was like, oh shit, let me just wear the highest level gem I get. But I also enjoyed the boss shrines. I like to get like a champion boss, and
that was the closest one they had to Diablo 1. Because in Diablo 1, stuff like that would happen constantly. You would click on a shrine and you would hear, like, there's a scream somewhere in the dungeon. You're fucked.
You'd click on a shrine and the message should say, something happened somewhere. Find it out, fucker.
Yeah. I think they sort of lost a bit of the identity of what was Diablo at its core back then when they switched the shrines to be something that predictable. It sort of felt like a different kind of a game. And it was. Diablo 2 was a bigger game. It was a larger game with a bigger scope. It wasn't that intimate horror experience that you would get in the first one.
Yeah,
it was more of an epic adventure of saving the world.
Exactly. It was more like, let's put it in movie terms. So Diablo 1 was the Boris Karloff mummy, and Diablo 2 is Brendan Fraser mommy.
Diablo 3 is the one with Tom Cruise.
Most likely, yes. I haven't seen that one.
I saw it on Netflix,
and
I can only tell you what happened in it because I saw it. I've seen it end to end. Kind of like it sort of lost the ability to focus on it at one point. I had the same reaction with Dark Phoenix. I know I saw the end of it. I can't tell you what really happened.
Okay, that's a great movie then. So both those mummies are great movies, but they're different movies. They're around the same theme, but they're different approaches.
It's like Alien and Aliens,
or also the Thing from Another World, and John Carpenter's The Thing. Again.
And Diablo 3 is the prequel.
Yeah, same thing. Man, it works with all of these movies. Fuck.
Yeah.
And Diablo 3 is Alien 3. Or actually 4. 3 I kind of like 3, to be honest. I'm partial to 3. 4, Resurrection, the hybrid, no, icky. Anyway. So, I did appreciate that it did feel, and it was a different game. But talking about this, I also in this 6 months I also covered an HD mod for Diablo. Oh, by the way, in the meanwhile, you can actually purchase Diablo 1 in Hellfire.
Yeah, this is something I forgot to mention at the beginning. One of the things that happened since we made the Diablo video is that it showed up on GOG.
Yeah, we talked about we actually
with
talked
Warcraft
about
1 and Warcraft 2.
Yeah, we talked about the fact that you can't buy it, and we were speculating on whether or not.
Yeah, we didn't think that Blizzard would do it. We thought it would be Diablo 2, but bang, Diablo 1 on GOG.
Yes,
amazing.
And Hellfire also.
Yeah, that blew my mind when I saw Hellfire.
But the thing is, it's on GOG. That's the weird thing. It's not on
because Blizzard wouldn't do it.
Yeah. So that happened in the meanwhile. But I covered an HD mod for Diablo 1 called Beelzebub, which allows you to play it on a big resolution. But what it also does,
it looks amazing in 4K.
It looks amazing in anything that's above
like 800. Your character is this small.
800 by 600. But the cool thing is that the modder also put into it a bunch of features from Diablo 2. Like you have way more items. The rarities from Diablo 2 is in it, sort of.
It also includes some bits from what was supposed to be in Diablo 1 as well, but it sort of still was in the code, but never actually fully implemented.
It has waypoints. It's like I covered it. You can find it on my channel. It's really great. I called it Diablo 1.5 because it's such a great blend of Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 that it looks like Diablo 1 and kind of plays like it, but with like an infusion of Diablo 2. So for me, it was like a new experience. I got to play a new Diablo game, like randomly. So if anyone's interested, do check out my video, and then because I have a link to the mod there, and I talk about it and shit like that. And something that I really liked in Diablo 1, but it disappeared in Diablo 2, was that Diablo 2 made basically Diablo 2 enshrined the idea of very strict skill trees and things and very strict builds that wouldn't allow you to splash a little bit of stuff here and there. For instance, in Diablo 1, everyone could learn magic.
Yeah.
As long as you had enough magic, you could learn spells, which I think is very good. It's great from a world building and storytelling perspective, because maybe, yeah, sure, maybe you do fight with axes, but maybe you have that one spell. Maybe you've learned how to, I don't know, heal a wound or some shit like that, or I don't know.
Yeah, everybody could use a scroll at least, if
or
not
breathe
learn.
fire if you really needed it, or something like that. And that's something that I didn't know I had missed until I played the Beelzebub mod.
Yeah, it was in a situation, a similar one, when I was searching through one of the catacombs in Diablo and Diablo 2, and there were some bookshelves, and at one point I click on a bookshelf and a book pops up. And suddenly I'm taken back to Diablo 1 when I find books of Firebolt everywhere and just upgrade them, and with my warrior be able to cast Firebolt with the high level and high damage. And that book in Diablo 2 turned out to be Tome of Town Portal, but still it brought back so many memories.
Yeah,
and
that was cool.
Speaking of stuff that was supposed to be in either games, there was stuff that was cut out of Diablo 2 as well. It's not that obvious as it was in Diablo 1. You won't find necessarily fully voiced characters that are hidden away somewhere in the files. Not that I've found out, at least up until now. But there are, if you use an item editor, which a lot of people have used. I mean, it's fun making an item with 99 resistance to all and having it be a small charm in your inventory. You would find statistics there like triggers, events, things that are never used in the game. In single player, at least. Some of them are used in Unbattlenet. But you'd find things like your stamina depletes completely at night, or your life is always regenerating during the daylight or when you're outside, I think. And those were stuff that were in the game, but were never implemented. The only thing that they put in was that on death you can cast a spell, which is something that's very common for Battle.net-only items, which we didn't get to really use up until we actually bought the game and played on Battle.net.
Yeah, there's always stuff that ends up on the cutting room floor. But I think relating to this somewhat, I think the first act of Diablo 2 is there just to offer a sort of an aesthetic continuation from the first Diablo 1, because, and I think I remember you mentioning this in your video, we always wanted to see what's beyond Tristram. We always wanted to go into the forest and see what's beyond it. And basically that's what the entirety of Act 1 is just you running around plains and finding places and going into caves and spelunking and shit. But I really enjoy that. Not to mention the fact that that's when you in Act 1 you literally have a link to Diablo 1, because you go back to Tristram, which Tristram is just like, man, that's like Tristram is the Gotham City of Sanctuary. It's like, why do people still live there? No, just get the fuck out.
The rent is cheap.
Yes, it only costs your soul.
It's cheap. No one bothers us. Thieves do not bother us, just the undead.
Yes, the undead and the goblins. Who still, they still Insign. Why don't you go get Insign back from tiny weird thing that goes...
That was one of the... You didn't really find... Wait, you did. I was going to say that Diablo 2 didn't have as much humor, but it does have as the humor that Diablo 1 had. Because there's a bunch of jokes we're going to get to in later acts past the first one. Because the first one is really kind of grim and dark and really, the apocalypse is going on, basically. What you thought was limited to a single cathedral in a village turns out to be an evil that now spawned through the entire world and is tearing everything apart. You have to travel the world to stop it.
Yeah, it's spreading, which is what evil does. And there's this theme of it's... So the acts themselves kind of go along or mirror the entire idea of the plot, in the sense that it has to do with former generally with former adventurers or former people of honor being corrupted or being possessed. It happens with the rogues in the first act. In the second act, I believe the prince is or
Oh, the wizard,
sorry,
the sorcerer that used to play in Diablo 1.
yeah, is also possessed and taken. Tal Rasha comes back, which whatever. So
We used to have back in the day before we actually, played the game. We used to have discussions of is Blood Raven really the rogue from Diablo 1? Because she isn't she? We had no idea because when we didn't have the game, didn't know, and we didn't find any sort of correlation between them at a basic story level with what we had in Diablo 1. Mostly because the Diablo 1 had not been planned out to have a sequel in that way, a big epic sprawling thing. But it turns out that, yeah, that was Blood Raven was the rogue from Diablo 1, which also kind of begs the question, where's the monk? The monk is in Hellfire, that's the answer. And Blizzard kind of hates Hellfire.
So we don't speak about Hellfire.
Yeah, that had a run ability in town, which everybody loved.
Yeah.
And they didn't think about it.
They didn't. And not to mention that you're basically following the entire plot of Diablo 2 is a completely separate group of adventurers following the character who vanquished Diablo initially.
Mm-hmm. And
yeah, which again, bad idea, buddy, but whatever.
I mean, he looks like he's kind of tired and needs a rest.
That's a very. I always thought it looked like the Mummy, like that, like it had a very mummy type sort of design, which doesn't really look like what Diablo looks like, but it was cool. It was creepy.
The Dark Wanderer.
I always thought it was a bit weird how the game's called Diablo, and this is supposed to be like the baddest sort of. Like we find out as we go through the games that there's primevals and lesser evils. So there's
actually that was in Diablo 1 as well in the books. But
it's just mentioned. It's not like we don't get these. So it made sense to find the lesser evils or fight the lesser evils in Diablo 2. I don't know if it made a lot of sense for us to defeat two of the primevals in one game. That's I always thought, and then the other one and the expansion. I would have always left the primevals to be like these, to be like Earth or realm destroying events. It would just be like the last bosses, in my view, should have been those. Or maybe you don't even get to them physically per se. You have to defeat them by, I don't know, defeating their minions and gathering a bunch of artifacts or some shit like that.
So, the way that the game explains this is that they're cast out of hell and they're not at full power.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole conspiracy of they actually wanted to be exiled because of the thing.
Yeah, the story does get a bit weirdly convoluted.
Yeah, the thing that kind of disappointed me a bit in the way that it was told is that it didn't really go into as much depth about the Sin War and the Eternal Conflict as Diablo 1 did, with all the books you would find. Like, every time you'd play Diablo, you would find a different book. They would not be all available in the same playthrough. So you'd have reasons to play it again and again and again to still learn the whole story. In this case, you could talk with the Archangel Tyrael, who was, battling Diablo since the beginning, and you don't really learn a lot about, the Horned Death that was led by Belial and Osmodan to defeat Diablo and Mephisto and Baal. You don't really learn much about anything.
Yeah, I think they sort of hand waved that thing away because, again, this isn't I don't want to say it's not story driven because it's not like RPGs, but the story wasn't the main crux of Diablo 1 or 2 or whatever.
It is of 3 when I'm going to be back in like half a second, so you keep talking.
Yeah, no problem. So the thing I had with the story is that it and what you said about the scene where that sounded and was really cool. And again, we don't get a lot of that. We find stuff out later on, and if you read the websites and some of the books that came out. But the thing is that I think they put into Diablo 2 way more than they meant to story wise. I don't think they,
so.
because it just seems like it's crammed in and there's not enough detail. It's just like the plot points basically. Oh, Mephisto is let loose and you kill him. I need more back. I mean, yeah, you mentioned, one of the primeval brother of blah 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 blah. But I need a bit more of a lead into that shit. Not just bad guy go kill.
Not just that, but there was story that was exclusively for BattleNet. You would have encounters with Lilith. You would have story elements that were really should have been part of the full game, but were just limited to certain events on BattleNet that I never got to play. And I'm not actually sure how you enable them. I think there were some events or something like that, but eventually all that stuff did get crammed into an actual story that is like logical from one point to the end point. It's honestly the one thing that I say Diablo 3 did right is that they rebuilt the story from the ground up with this, the Book of Cain. And it is just the story of Diablo from the beginning, like from the beginning when there was no universe.
They went very back. Okay.
Oh yeah, they went super back.
That's nice.
This is the old cathedral.
It does like Diablo 3 in terms of story or of how it functions. It is more cohesive than Diablo 2 is. The progression of threat actually. Hey, what's with
these are the prime gods that were whose conflict basically created heaven and hell.
Okay.
When they both died, they both killed each other, and from their bodies came heaven and hell and demons and primeval, as you can see, sort of the Diablo resemblance. And they
have 6 eyes, so probably divided into 3 and whatnot. So that was always something that slightly annoyed me. Like in terms of stories, like Diablo 2, something I found very interesting was the Tree of Inifus. Like I wanted to know more about the Tree of Inifus. Why I wanted to. That would have been in an RPG now. That would be its own thing. It would be in its own settlement, its own location. Just the Tree of Inifus.
Yeah, Blizzard approached story differently back then. Well, actually, no, it approaches the same it does now. You want the story, you buy a book. There were like 50 books. Well, I'm exaggerating, but there were a lot of books with Diablo as a subject.
I guess.
Anybody, like, I don't, maybe not anybody, but they had a lot of writers just make stories out of side characters, out of everything they could. After, I think there was one about the armor you would finding Diablo 1 at one point. I even wrote a short story, a fan fiction about the like top half of a cadaver you see slung onto a hook by the butcher in Diablo 1 cinematic. I made a story about that guy. I got a prize for it too. You could probably see there's an X-Blades collector's edition case back then.
Ooh.
X-Blades, interesting game.
Yeah. So yeah, that I do think story could have been like if they were to make it with hindsight, I think Diablo 2 story would have looked different. I think we would have visited maybe less areas, and those that we visited would have more depth to them. Not saying anything. Act 1, kind of barren, interesting, but kind of barren in general. Like what I did enjoy was that it actually told you, it gave you slight hints that Andariel doesn't like fire. So the first time I fought her, I was a paladin, and I got like a two-handed sword with 3 sockets, and I put chipped rubies in it, just so that I get a bit of extra oomph. This was before knowing anything about anything, really. But then I think Act 2 got the most amount of love. Because
Act 2 looks amazing.
whenever I think about Diablo 2, I think and I hear Act 2.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Act 1 and Act 2 especially. Act 2 has the most distinctive atmosphere.
I hear Lutgolain.
Yeah, you hear the chimes, the beatles that you step over.
The percussion once you're the percussion beat when you're in the city. And I don't know, I think maybe it's that the atmosphere is so well built, it's so well constructed, but there's also a lot of different stuff to do. And maybe I'm a bit biased because I'm a big fan of ancient Egypt, and that's basically what that act is. It's ancient Egypt. Like the first act, you can say it's more of a European medieval sort of setting. And then the second act is ancient Egypt, and then the third act is...
Or at least Persia, somewhere around there.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
And
I like it into Persia and Egypt because it has mummies, and there's...
There's sort of like a blend between the two.
Yeah, and third one is Jungle? I never really got the third one.
Third one can go screw itself. The Great Marsh can go screw itself.
Oh, man, that was so fucking tedious.
I know it. I hate it.
Like the Diablo 2,
I hated it back then, I hate it now.
In Diablo 2 in general, it's a bit of a grindy game, but you enjoy that sort of grind because of the item system, which we'll get to immediately afterwards. But the Black Marsh, holy fuck, that was just tedious because you couldn't basically go from one point to another. You just find places of no return, and if you didn't play a barbarian who had leap, if you played the barbarian with leap, then you were fine with just leap. That would be the barbarian with leap attack was, besides incredibly powerful,
broken.
Was super useful in what's the guys the fucking,
Arcane Sanctuary.
Yes, in the Arcane Sanctuary, because you didn't have to use any of the teleporters and you just jump from one.
I think they mentioned that the barbarian was the most broken class they have because you could just skip over bits of the level. And only the sorceress could teleport because that was her skill. But this was a melee character that could just jump
from one point to another of the screen, basically. At a certain point, and also deal a fuck ton of damage when he lands. So there was also that.
He could also scream at corpses, and potions or items would fly out of him.
I don't know. I suspension of disbelief, man. Like you have a major problem with Diablo 3 system of just using the stats on items. Fuck you. You just scream at corpses and shit pops out of them.
The thing is, I kind of believe the barbarian would be that badass so that him screaming at a corpse would terrify it like it did you.
Would spontaneously make the corpse generate stuff.
Yeah, the corpse was still afraid of it so much he would just give it something to leave me alone. Now, if they had given him a beard like in Diablo 3, it would have been even more believable.
But vis-a-vis that, the druid class does what they did in the entirety of Diablo 3. The druid class only uses the stats from the weapons when he morphs. So, But let's talk about item system. The item system in Diablo 2 was one of the freshest things we had seen up until that point. Diablo 1 had some. I think you only had the magic and
you had magic and uniques.
Uniques, yeah.
You didn't have sets at all.
No,
you didn't have rares.
Didn't exist, or rares didn't exist. So for Diablo 2, they upped the ante. Obviously, larger game, and the item drops and the item system was and still is, I have to say, perpetually fascinating to me. I used to play Diablo 2. I would just play it to see what items I find. I would just I'd make a barbarian, obviously, and I would just load them up with as much magic find as possible. And I would literally just play the game, usually in Act 2, because I would go to Tal Rasha's tombs and I would clear all of them on Hell or whatever, just to see the types of items that would just drop. And I remember at a certain point, I had 2 identical unique weapons. They were the same item. They just had one slight variation in one of the features. But I was dual wielding the same identical item, which was really funny. As a thing. And the set items were really interesting, because that's not something it makes sense to a certain degree from a story perspective, but it's not really something you used to see back then. And I think Diablo 2 kind of normalized that idea, or just just created it, because before that you would have, let's say, enchanted items that were capable of doing something, but this brought in the idea of items that the more of the same set you have, the better the perks are. And that was super interesting. I still remember my first set item and where I found it. I was in Act 2, and I just smashed one of the urns, and the Arctic furs jumped out. And
I've asked a lot of people, and they all said the same thing. Act 2, they smashed something, and a set item came out. And I think that's the pity timer. That's where you'll find one guaranteed.
Probably. And Arctic furs jumped out, which is a pretty good set item even for Act 2, because it gives you a lot of elemental resistance and whatnot. So I'll always remember that. That's always gonna be a favorite of mine. And you're right. It might literally just be that.
I found Eisenhart's or Iranta's something breastplate in one of the rat nests back there.
Rat nests, yes. So there's definitely something there. And then there was just like trying to find entire sets, but that was always you'd finish the game and not get an entire set or close to it. I always wanted
gamble. Or you gamble away your money at Gee or something.
We always
see what you could get.
I always thought Death's Hand was interesting. I think it was called. There were some gloves and some. There was like Death Set or some shit like that. That was really fun. But yeah, and talking about items and Act 2, it also, just because you had so much shit to do, Act 2 has one of the more important game features that basically influences your playthrough from that point onwards, is the Horagic Cube. Not only that, but you have to build the Horagic Staff, which up until the moment you actually build it as a staff, you can wear the amulet, which is really good. And if you're a sorcerer, you can also use the staff. But I was kind of like, can't I keep the amulet? The amulet is really good, yo. And then the Horagic Cube, which basically gives you a bit of extra inventory space, and
which is much needed considering how small it is and how small the stash was in Diablo 2 before the expansion. It was like this big.
Yeah,
and I found pre-release screenshots of Diablo where the stash is huge. It's amazingly huge, and they just shrunk it.
Yeah, probably they were. It was test version, so that's why.
Maybe they were worried about save file sizes, because Diablo 2 save game is like 200K. It's small, tiny.
Yeah, and the Horagic Cube also brought like. Deckard tells you that you can do some things with it, like you can turn some potions, and he also mentions but there are many recipes or some shit like that, like try some shit. And we were like, what the fuck? But if you had the magazine you knew
exactly what you could do.
You have a bunch of recipes in that one, and building a prismatic amulet.
Which is the exact thing that's written here, like the prismatic amulet.
That was like that was the goal of any first normal difficulty run, was building a prismatic. After that, there's better stuff, but
then there's the Raoul Tal Pledge of the Ancients thing.
But for the beginning, that was the that was the thing that you really wanted. Like, it's not the prismatic amulet is not bad. It's really good. What do you have any particular other memories relating to the item system?
Oh, the items. Two things. One that, well, actually, they both kind of disappointed me. There were no longer any actual negative effects on the items. You still had them in the code. Like you could still
You're
make
right.
items that had
Yes.
negative effects. Like you could make charms charms, armors, anything that took away some of your abilities. But none of them were in actual items that the game could drop. And that I felt sort of diminished a bit, because just as you said with the amulet from the Viper amulet, having it making you build the staff and losing that meant something at the beginning when you didn't have a lot of resistances. That was a good amulet.
Oh yeah.
But none of the other items ever made you sort of think twice about if it's worth actually equipping this and enduring a penalty in some aspect, but having a great bonus in the other. It sort of lacked that thrill that Diablo 1 had, that more roguelike appeal to it, where something could curse you, but still it was kind of good. And one other aspect is that the unique items completely screwed over the lore. I mean, completely screwed it totally. Because one of the first unique items I found was Shadowfang, which was in the lore a sword so powerful that the heavens assaulted hell to stop it being created, but it was still made, and it was used to slaughter the invading force of Iswal and all the angels. And Shadowfang is not really much. It's kind of a normal Act 2-3 weapon maybe, and Iswal's sword as well. I forget what its name was. Frost something.
Frostborn? No, that's
No,
that's
not
a-
Frostborn.
That's sort of different. Okay.
Iswal had a sword of his own, which was the antithesis of Shadowfang, and it was supposed to be like an amazing thing. It was a crystal sword, and it was superb and amazing.
Light-
And
Light tooth.
no, I forget what it's called. Probably someone's gonna mention. Actually, I think I can find it if I look it up, because I also have the listings for the unique items. But it was supposed to be a super duper amazing weapon wielded by an archangel to fight the forces of hell. And it was not all that great. It was Azurath, that was called. 515 damage. Wow. That's gonna make hell shudder. 30% chance daily strike. Okay, that daily strike, that's something. 3-6 increased cold damage and 10% increased chance to find items. Like, at least you have the chance to find a better item than itself. But that I felt that sort of took away from the lore that Diablo 1 established. That there was these powerful entities and they wield weapons of fate, weapons made to slay gods, or at least demons. And you sold it to Gate for like 1,000 gold pieces,
Well,
which is nothing.
you do also take this. You tend to take some stuff more seriously than other things. So that one's on you. I just take it as again suspension of disbelief. The name is cool. They went with it. I don't really think I don't even think they gave it that much thought at all.
Certainly they would, if they had made it the nightmare version or the hell version of the crystal sword, yeah, that would have meant something. It meant that you would have already had to go through the game once and kill the primevals to be able to wield such a weapon. But having it like right there at the beginning, it kind of makes you think that the angels and demons were really bad at their job, like being powerful stuff, and you were just, well, thankfully you do kick all their asses. So
Literally, yeah.
they sucked really hard at conquering the universe, the world.
Well, you yeah, and this is something that
Diablo 3 actually does touch on that, because in Diablo 3 it's established that the heroes, they are Nephilim. They are the combination of angel and demon. They are more powerful than either of them.
Well,
or
at least they have the potential to become more powerful than either of them, because the initial Nephilim were. So that's why the angels. I don't think I'm not sure if one or the other or both made it so that the Nephilim would forget that they have the power, and they just became normal humans for like
I think it's somewhere in this book.
for like a bunch of generations until until the curse broke and they started to rebuild.
Yeah, the World Stone was built to actually contain the Nephilim more than anything else. It was made to, I think, limit the powers of hell and heaven and the Nephilim as well. And when it broke, things started to get real.
To be honest, yeah, I think so. And that was one of the things that I had a bit of a problem story-wise with, because again, I think it made things overly epic. I think it made the scope of things over. I mean, you already went to hell, which, granted, in this circumstance, it's not our version of biblical hell. It's literally just another plane. You can just think of it as a different planet to a certain degree. Just like heaven is also a different planet, and sanctuary, where this happens, is somewhere in between. It's like they created this separate artificial planet. Let's say it's a separate plane. It's a hidden plane, pocket universe. I mean, you had already gone to hell and kicked everyone's asses there and whatnot. And technically in Diablo 3, you go in heaven and kick everyone's asses there. But the idea is the destruction of the World Stone. I think for me, weird to say that it made things less realistic. I'm not talking about that. It's just the scope became so overly epic that I couldn't get that's where my interest in the story and the world, that's where I detached from it. Because at that point in time, at that point in the story, the conflux of immense primordial powers is so huge that, and I never felt like the progression of the player character, and again linked to the lack of story development, I didn't feel we earned it. I didn't feel story wise or world building wise we earned to be part of the destruction of the World Stone. That's just my feeling about it. As a wannabe storyteller and game sort of RPG designer, it was just too big for the second game. I don't think I would have put it in the third game either, to be honest. That's an immense. And my understanding was that the World Stone was there to basically lock off Sanctuary from both heaven and hell, so that they can't know it's there.
It was sort of what the World Stone is sort of shifted between Diablo 2 and Diablo 3.
Yeah.
It didn't exist in Diablo 1. It was just the Soul Stones were something that existed. It wasn't really all that well explained in the second game, what it did, what it was. You just knew that it was a thing that had great importance, that whose sundering could change the world. And everybody said, the world will change. Just nobody knew how. It was a nebulous way to approach things, so it made
I'm okay with that thing, but that's again, I don't think story-wise, I don't think it should have gotten to that point.
I think we could have used some more like delving into this world, into
more build up. That's what I'm saying. Like the story needed more build up. That's why I also said earlier that I think Diablo 2, they just had like the highlights and never ended, and it seemed like basically it's like reading a script or seeing a movie, and every scene is like the final boss fight, like in a Jackie Chan movie. He fights or Bruce Lee movie. He fights steadily increasing challenges up until he gets at the end of the movie and he kills a villain. But in this one, it seemed like every fucking scene was a villain fight. It wasn't even Demon Souls level because even in Demon Souls or the Souls type like games, there is some progression. You kill some mobs. You get a feel for what's going on. But in this one, it felt that every major player was the end of the world, and if everything is the end of the world, then nothing is the end of the world, and you don't have that feeling of great accomplishment. Also, again, and I'm repeating, I feel like we didn't deserve to be part or to see the thundering of the world zone, because like you said, it wasn't clearly explained at that point in time, because I don't think they knew. I think they made that shit up after Lord of Destruction for Diablo 3, where they wrote themselves into a corner. Because and that's why also Diablo 3's story, whilst it's more cohesive and makes more sense, I couldn't get into it. I played the game, I enjoyed it considerably more than you enjoyed it, but as far as Sanctuary as a world, and I mentioned this, so Sanctuary is on my list of top original game worlds. As far as I'm concerned, Sanctuary is way more interesting in Diablo 1.
Mm.
Because in Diablo,
there's a lot of stuff that you have to imagine because it's inferred, it's hinted at.
Yes.
You do a lot of world building yourself, like based on the seeds that the game gives you.
Exactly, and unfortunately, it doesn't give you enough seeds to. But it's just it's a dark fantasy medieval setting, and there's this Diablo thing demon. Maybe he's the devil. Maybe he's not the devil. He's named Diablo. Doesn't matter. Which is really odd if you think about it, because Spanish version for demon devil.
That was the name of the mountain outside their window, so that's what they called it.
Yeah. So I still think like the best incarnation of Sanctuary is the dark, not yet gothic sort of atmosphere and story in Diablo 1. Because after that it gets... Yeah, after that it's basically a... what are those movies called? A disaster movie? So Diablo 1 is more like a horror thriller, and after that it goes into disaster movie level. It's just it's cataclysmic. So yeah, that's at the end of Diablo 2. That's where I got disconnected from the story, because I just couldn't. Yeah, it clicked for me.
One thing I have to say is that the game did still feel a bit rushed at one point, because they made it in crunch mode, and after you slog through Act 3, you get an Act 4 that's just 3 quests long. That's it.
That was
it's really short.
Yes, that was really weird, and most likely they just had to.
So what could you really do in hell that would let you not involve the other primevals that Diablo was supposed to be fighting right now? You couldn't do much, because according to the story, hell was ruled by Osmodon and Belial. You fought Ezreal, which was something unexpected. You destroyed the gemstones on the Hellforge, which was mentioned previously in both games, and then you fought Diablo. They couldn't really put much in there, could they?
No, because I just don't think they had what.
Like even the NPCs there didn't have dialogue apart from Terrail and Cain.
Yeah, I think maybe a couple. I think there is some minor description, but they just say
there's an angel there that says, "Turn back, you're not ready to fight the evil in the Chaos Sanctuary."
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think they didn't have an idea. I think it was just like, oh, you go to hell and you fight in hell, and they just made this weird, sparse, floaty sort of arcane sanctum type place. And you can see that they put way more thought into making heaven in Diablo 3. We still haven't been back to hell.
They had more resources. They had more time. It was a different team.
Yeah, and also took them, I don't know what.
And that was like the second or maybe third iteration of Heaven, because in one of the canceled Diablo 3 games, you also went to Heaven and killed everybody there. You had some screenshots of when it was sort of 2.5D.
It happens. And yeah, you still haven't gotten back to hell for whatever reason yet. So
fingers crossed for Diablo 4.
yeah, we're gonna
just 2 months to BlizzCon.
Yeah, that's
We
gonna
have
be
phones.
that's gonna be rough. We're gonna probably, if we're gonna make another one of these, we're probably gonna have to do one after that BlizzCon.
Yeah.
Oh, a couple more things to mention, just because we're already close to the hour-and-a-half mark.
Oh, I have some more things to mention as well. Go for it, please.
Okay, so other super cool, great things about Diablo 2. Besides, we left it at the Horadric Cube, and you could actually use the Horadric Cube to craft items or reroll items, as it were, which was really cool. LAN playing. Granted, Diablo 2 is better known for the Battle.net, but I never actually played it on Battle.net. I had a friend who played it on Battle.net, and he was telling me about all of those events. You were saying like, you do this, and you open a portal, and then you go into Uber Tristram, and you fight Uber Diablo, and weird shit like that. And I was like, and I saw what the game did to him, and I was like, yeah, no, I can. You can just tell me about it. I don't have that type of time. He was telling me about dupes for items and being on forums and selling stuff and whatnot. That sort of stuff. Secret cow level exists. One of the this was in a long line of internet rumors that became reality, which is something that basically started with the Mortal Kombat series, but it has perpetuated since till this time. And I think nowadays a lot of people use internet theories and then they just put it in their games because why not?
We're still waiting on Shaggy being added to Mortal Kombat.
I think he's too powerful. And one other cool thing also related to gameplay was Diablo 2, I think, is the first time when I got introduced to the idea of theory crafting, which basically is not just necessarily standing around, but just analyzing a bunch of game relevant data and looking into how game mechanics work and optimizing characters for various feats. Some of these things would require a bunch of information that other people would data mine from the game. But I think this is where theory crafting as a concept began for me, and which then I translated into like just game system design and mechanics, which I would then upgrade a bit when I started playing WoW, which was like playing WoW was a lot of theory crafting. And the final point I want to make before we go and you continue is soundtrack. Soundtrack to Diablo 2 took its theme and motifs from the very few songs, the very few musical approaches from Diablo 1, and just made this very compelling, very atmospheric for each act. Really interesting thing to listen and to have in the background. The Diablo 2 soundtrack is definitely one of those things that you can just play in the background, and it's really cool because it's not a Diablo 3, again, way too epic. It's way too cinematic, operatic, epic, whatever. Diablo 2 is a bit more subdued. It's closer to Diablo 1.
Especially in stuff like Lugalain. Like that track just evokes atmosphere like perfection.
Yes, you can basically feel the heat of the sands and the wind and whatnot. Yeah, so that's I got everything off my list. So what's
So you mentioned that Diablo 2 got you into theory crafting. Well, Diablo 2 and Battletoads got me into writing fan fiction for video games.
Battletoads?
I had a fan fiction for Battletoads.
Oh jeez.
It was a better story than the cartoon they made, the pilot. I mean, so Diablo 2, I wrote stuff about Diablo 2, And one of the things that really sort of got my gears rolling was on a site called the Lurker's Lounge, which was a Diablo Warcraft thing. It was a Blizzard Games forum type situation. They had a banner, like said, that would randomly change to different quotes, and one of them was, "Kane's the bad guy. Think about it." So I did, and I came up with the scenario where Kane would be the secret villain of the Diablo series. And I started out thinking, well, why would he want the World Stone destroyed? Because that was the end game. That's what we knew about. That's where everything ended. And why would he want that? And I started going back to thinking what we knew about Dicker Kane and how he was the descendant of Jared Kane. And Jared Kane was one of the Horadrim that captured Baal. And maybe he made a deal with Baal so that his line, like his own family, would survive over the years. That would explain why Kane is still alive and why they didn't kill him and Tristram. They put him in the cage when everybody else was murdered, but he was still alive.
Mm.
And even Tyrael said, "Oh, I would not let him die so far from his home." And I think to myself, okay, maybe even Tyrael is in on this. Maybe it's not just the primeval pulling a con on people with this wall. Maybe it's Tyrael too has his own agenda and he wants to do something, and Kane is his ally. He's been manipulating us all this time. And now, I didn't actually know why they would want to destroy the World Stone, because the World Stone was too nebulous to actually have a point behind it at that time. But I crafted a theory that sounded like almost believable. Now, I don't actually believe any of it because I just made it up, but it did fit the sort of conspiracy theory nonsense you would find on YouTube and would probably have been very successful. I think I made a video about it in Romanian at one point. Should have probably made it in English too.
Unfortunately, it's a wee bit too late for
yeah,
that one,
Kane got the shaft in Diablo 3. Like, he got killed by a flunky.
Yeah.
Like, now, if he got killed, by a primeval, by an archangel even, and stuff, he got killed by something that was established in the previous games, okay. But a flunky, like, it just didn't sit right.
Hey, maybe it comes back. You never know. Everything is possible in these games.
Yeah, probably. And I'm going to touch on the thing that I mentioned earlier, and that is the humor in Diablo 2.
Mm.
It probably has one of the sickest burns and most unexpected jokes I've ever seen in a game of this type. Now, Act 3 is a slog, and I deeply hate it. At a point where I was actually replaying Diablo 2 recently, and I completely forgot that there was another quest in Act 3 called Lam Elsa's Tome, where you can fight it in some of the dungeons and the long slog to Travical. And I completely forgot about it, but you find the book and you give it to the, what was the Alcor, the old alchemist.
Yeah.
And he gives you a potion that gives you, I think, stats. But one of the other things you get from Alcor is a really good joke when you talk to him about other characters, and he talks about the assassin that's in town. Which there was a mysterious assassin in town. You didn't know what was up with her, why she wasn't helping you kill the undead. Oh, she was watching Ormus. Okay, there's Mephisto there. He's killing everybody. You could maybe help you. No. She just stays there. But Alcor has the sickest burn about her. She says, Natalia, such a sweet girl. But I have this potion that I think I could that maybe help her, improve her disposition a bit. Let's see. Radiant beauty? No. Mysterious charm? No. Here it is. Relax, frosty bitch. That joke just murdered me. It just comes out of nowhere. This old man just completely goes savage on that lady. That was the best joke in the game. I think it's the only joke in the game.
I think it's the only one, actually. I don't remember anything else.
The drunk guy in Act 2. Grace is the elder guy. The drunk guy in the tavern in Act 2, in Atma's Tavern. He has jokes as well. But that joke, that sick burn, that was just... That was worthy of one of those freeze frames where you He gets like shades put on him, and then Snoop Dogg comes in and does a dance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
indeed.
Oh, that'll be it for Diablo 2, I guess.
Oh, but yeah, and one thing, we actually played some Diablo 2 on your channel,
Oh yeah, we did.
like I think 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So if you wanna hear us riffing off of Raul not being able to play the game, and not being able, not knowing how to play the game, and I think we talked a bit about like making an Australian, talking in an Australian accent.
Oh my God, what was his name? Klaus Wallaby.
We had some we had some jokes. We had some jokes in that stream, so we can, if you just look like Diablo 2 stream on Gaming HD.
The Australian International Diamond Thief.
Yes, in one of them I play as well, and
Hans Wallaby. Hans Wallaby was the name.
and you might enjoy that, and it's not a bad show.
Yeah, Hans
Not as
Wallaby
entertaining as
was.
this, mind you, but if you want more Diablo 2, that's where you'll get from us. Basically, that's where you'll get it.
Or you could play Torchlight 2, which is essentially Diablo 2. Like it is a carbon copy of the structure of Diablo 2, complete with the fourth act being really short and set in hell.
Ah, okay. So maybe it was a tribute thing.
It was made by some of the same people.
I don't know. I didn't play. I played Torchlight 1. I didn't get to play 2.
Torchlight 1 was sort of like Diablo 1, and 2 was like 2.
guess.
You're more spread out.
My favorite part from Torchlight was the pets.
Yeah, the pets were cool. The pets were fantastic.
That they could go to town and sell you shit and bring you stuff. Nice. That's one of the bestest stuff.
Yeah. Torchlight 2 actually tried to be a bit horror at one point with a town that's filled with werewolves. And I see somebody transform into a werewolf or really being eaten by one. And it's supposed to be this real epic, like dark, like grotesque thing. But it's in the graphical style of Torchlight with you with a dog or a squirrel next to you. That it doesn't really fit. It tries, but it doesn't really fit. They tried. No.
Looks good though. Looks good. I think Torchlight graphic style still works today. I think it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
do you have anything coming up on your channel anytime soon?
Yeah, I have several things. Again, depending on when this comes out, most likely in a while. I will be talking about Batman Arkham Asylum. It's a new sort of show I'm planning. So it's called Batman Arkham Asylum, 10 years on. Is it a classic?
One thing I hope you'll mention is that everybody back then was complaining how filled with bugs it was because they were playing the pirated version.
Really? I don't know.
Oh yeah, it was everywhere. On the Arena TV forums, everybody was complaining about bugs. The developers were having their forums filled with people complaining about bugs and saying, "Oh no, I was just playing the demo." Yeah, you're not in that area in the demo. That's not a bug. You're playing the pirated version, which has DRM checks, which will break the game if you have it pirated.
I don't know. I played the pirated version, but I never had issues. So.
If you had it like at release time, there were no fixes for it. You could glide through the world. You would sometimes grapple through walls, and your dive kick didn't work. So you couldn't do stuff.
I guess I didn't play it exactly at release, but I did play it close to that time. So maybe
it was amazing back then.
Maybe it was a bunch of months. But anyway, so I've looked at it back after 10 years because it's been 10 years since it was released. That seems a bit long, but it's not. Whatever. And coming up until the end of the year, I will be looking at. I think I'll be looking at Pharaoh. I'll be definitely doing a coverage of Surviving Mars, Green Planet.
Have you found the platypuses yet?
No platypuses yet. I'm still working on that. Disciples 1 at a certain point. And maybe Foundation. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, so Batman Arkham Asylum, Foundation, Pharaoh, Surviving Mars. I'm gonna I'm gonna come back to the games when they to Iratus and At the Gates when they have updates. Cliff Empire as well. So that's kind of what I don't think I have any. Do I have any major RPGs? I have some older RPGs that I might older that I didn't get around to, but I'm gonna see what else happens, how much time I have, and that sort of stuff. So that's generally the plan.
Well, in the meantime, I'm actually going to be out of town for a couple of days because I'm going to my what I hope becomes a yearly ritual of going to see pelicans in the Delta.
Sabbatical.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I come back, I still have some time off from my main job, so I'm hoping to be able to make that Space Empires 4 video I was talking about a while ago. And maybe, I don't know, I'll see if I can squeeze in some more videos by the time I go back to work. Maybe I'm going to do like a sort of review of this book thing. I've done book review. I mean, I've talked about books like these ones previously, so this wouldn't be really out of the field of videos that I've already made. It would still be in the same general area. In terms of other stuff, can only think of what other shows I could do in the meantime.
Hopefully, at a certain point, we can get back to doing this on a more regular basis. I'm not necessarily saying weekly, but maybe I don't know, once every 2 or 3 weeks.
It depends. I mean, my second main job may not last really all that much time because it's getting kind of tiring. I've been writing news since 2007. I really hate writing news. I don't want to be writing news again ever, but you have to pay the bills.
I know.
There's that.
I know that feel, bro.
But maybe like toward the end of this year, maybe next year I could give it up like fully, and you could use my time to actually use that thing because I bought it last year. I used it a lot last year. This year, not so much.
In some videos, you used it as a
coat hanger,
as a t-shirt holder. So
yeah,
it's kind of
it's still useful for that. Well, I guess that would be it. Probably I'm gonna see if I can convince Ciprian to give me a sneak preview of. I'm not really sure if I was supposed to mention that he's working on Ebony Spire 2, which I already did twice. But I've seen how it looks, and it's really good looking. Like the graphic style for it is amazing. Like it may be a bit hard on the eyes, but for what he's going for, it is exactly what it's supposed to look like.
And we'll wait and see. It's fine. No one really watches this. It's not like anyone that watches this is gonna be like, oh, they might not even know who we're talking about. So
yeah,
even if they watch our channels, might be.
Yeah, I mean, people could say where Jimmy Hoffa is buried in this video and nobody would know it.
Pretty much. I don't think they care that much.
Under the Lincoln Memorial.
Maybe. I don't think anyone cares that much anymore about that one. So there is that.
Well,
it was nice. It was nice doing this again.
Absolutely, I missed this.
I know. Talking about games and movies and shit. That's my shtick. Yeah, that's my new self-declared title. I'm a geek culture analyst. That would look great on like a business card rather than YouTube reviewer, I think.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna see you again. We're gonna see you again.
Yeah.
He's gonna see you again.
Quite
often because he makes content.
If
regularly.
you go to my channel, Stefan Hansens, you'll find very recent stuff there. Generally weekly stuff. I do my best to post something weekly. I still haven't finished Operencia though. Still have a bit to go into that one, but I think I'm gonna spend most of the rest of the year just playing individual games, and I'm gonna go back to Operencia when I'm close to when I have to finish my semester project.
Mm-hmm. Well, as for me, you can probably find me on Twitter a lot because it's easy to look up Twitter on your phone when you're at work. at least for me. As for videos, probably gonna be some in the future. I wouldn't put money on it, but well, actually, if you're still on our Patreon, you probably shouldn't be, because as you've seen, we don't really have videos all that often. So thank you for the Patreon, but you don't really get a lot out of it. So if you cancel, that's okay. I understand. It's fine. But if you don't cancel, thank you.
That's also not bad. Yes.
Well, that'll be it. So goodbye, everybody.
See you next time.